Hey guys, welcome to the 3.14 Solutions to Inequalities in Context, that's just word problems, video. So we're going to think about some equations and their same inequalities. So first one, we're going to solve the equation negative x equals 10. Now, if you think the way I just read that, I read it as negative x. I didn't read it as minus x because there's nothing else in front of it. That means that this operation is actually multiplication. To get rid of multiplication, we divide. Now you might be wondering, what are you going to divide by? Well, I have a negative, but I don't have a number, so I'm just going to call it negative 1 because I have negative 1x. That's going to leave me with positive x equals 10 divided by negative 1 is negative 10. Now, if we're going to think about this as an inequality, negative x is greater than 10. We can think of that negative as an opposite. So the opposite of something has to be greater than 10. Let's start with 5. Is 5 greater than 10? No. Is negative 5 greater than 10? No. We need a bigger number. Let's go to 15. 15 by itself is greater than 10, but is negative 15 greater than 10? No. So in order to make this 15 positive, we need to say negative, because now if I plug it in, a negative times this negative 15 is going to be greater than 10. What about 20? Positive 20 is not going to work because negative 20 is not bigger than 10. But if we had a negative 20, we would have negative times negative 20. Positive 20 is bigger than 10. So actually right here, you guys, we have negative numbers only. What about negative 11? That one would work also. So really anything below negative 10 would work. Cool. We're not actually going to go over this one, you guys, just for the sake of time. So let's go ahead and move on to a guided problem so we can get to these word problems. So we have Andre has a summer job selling magazine subscriptions. He earns $25 per week plus 3 weeks for every subscription he sells. Andre hopes to make at least enough money this week to buy a new pair of soccer cleats. We're going to let N represent the number of magazine subscriptions Andre sells this week, and we're going to write an expression for the amount of money he makes. So when I see expression, I know it's not going to be an equals, there's not going to be a greater than, no less than, none of that. Just constants, coefficients, operations. So I'm going to actually look at the first part I highlighted. We know he earns $25, so it's going to be a positive 25, plus $3 for every subscription. We also know N represents the number of subscriptions, so we're going to multiply that by 3, again, because the units are repeating. So, part 2. The least expensive pair of cleats Andre wants costs $68. Write and solve an equation to find how many magazine subscriptions Andre needs to sell to buy these cleats. So I still have 25 plus 3n, but now I need an equation, so I need an equal sign, and we're going to take our cost, 68. That's how much he needs to make. So let's go ahead and solve this. We need inverse operations, so we're going to subtract this 25. Reason being, I have addition, and that's my constant, so subtract that away. Goes away. We're left with 3n equals, got to actually subtract here, 43. Now I have a coefficient, so I'm going to divide it. And I'm left with n equals, I'm going to go over here for some scratch work to show 43 divided by 3. 3 goes into 4 once. 3 goes into 13 4 times. And I actually am still left with 1. So we could make a decimal. Or I'm going to actually make a mixed number. I'm going to say n equals 14 and 1/3. So if he wanted these $68 cleats, Andre would have to sell exactly 14 and 1/3 subscriptions. So if he sold 16 subscriptions, would he reach his goal? Let's think about it. 14 and 1/3 would make $68. If he sold more subscriptions, he'd make more money. So I think yes, he will actually be over his goal. So let's think of some other numbers of magazine subscriptions Andre could sell to reach his goal. We know 14 1/3 is the exact number he would need. We know 16 works. If 16 works, then 17 probably also works. 18 works, 19, etc. What about, we skipped 15. 15 also works. Again, it's higher than the number we said he needed. So if we want to think about an inequality now, we could say, well, he know that he makes 25 plus 3n, and we know he needs at least $68. So at least means it's cool if he has 68, so we'll have an equals. But it's also okay if he has more, so we're going to have a greater than or equal to in that inequality. And then, again, if we think about our solution, we already said it was 14 1/3. So again, he needs to sell more than or exactly 14 1/3 subscriptions. Maybe a better way to think about that is he can't sell 1/3 of a subscription, right? So really, he needs to sell at least 15. If he sold only 14, he'd be just short of his goal, but 15 would work. So for our key points for this one, you guys, solving inequalities is really the same as solving equations. By the same, I mean the steps are the same in that we can still use inverse operations. And to decide our symbol right here, think about what we did on number 4. We just thought about which of these work. We said 14 1/3 works, so 16 works. What we did was just picked a value, or we substitute in our values. So guys, that's it for this video. Go ahead and try your independent practice. Send an email if you're not sure what you're doing. See you later.